Let's dive right in. The first and most common mobility restriction in runners is limited ankle dorsiflexion. You can find this in patients with a variety of complaints, from ankle pain, foot pain, knee pain, even hip and low back pain. For all of these runners, it is extremely important to address dorsiflexion limitations. In the running readiness assessment, we find that there are multiple ways to identify if they actually have limited ankle dorsiflexion because of purposeful redundancy in the test. Most commonly, you're going to see this in the deep squat, where they will either turn the feet out, lift the heels up off the ground, go into genu valgus, or lean the trunk forward. All of this could be related to dorsiflexion limitations. The reason this dorsiflexion is so important is that as we run, we're acting like a spring. A runner simultaneously is absorbing the forces of impact as they're loading up the tissues again to propel themselves off the ground. Because of the elasticity of the muscles and the biarticulate design, we see a large passive component of running from this spring mechanism. With limited dorsiflexion, you're changing the way you load up one of the most effective springs, the Achilles and the gastroc. All structures in the body like to be loaded in the way that the fibers are oriented. When we have a dorsiflexion limitation, this leads to several compensations. We need 15 to 20 degrees of ankle dorsiflexion to properly load up that Achilles. If we don't have that, we often see that the person still needs to absorb the forces of running. They do this by externally rotating the foot and setting off response up the chain, resulting in genu valgus. If we look at our categories of running gait impairments, this sounds exactly like our collapsor. Commonly, people look at somebody with genu valgus running mechanics and they assume that they have weak hips. This is exactly why we look at the running readiness assessment and the running categories together. If you have someone collapsing and it's because of limited dorsiflexion, they will not get the results you want until you've addressed that dorsiflexion limitation. Outside of just changing the biomechanics, they will also not take advantage of the passive component of the spring. This results in more energy being required to run, a reduction in performance, and an increase in injuries. Bottom line, get dorsiflexion back.